Hello, my name is and today I will be presenting on James Alderson. James Alderson blew the whistle on Hospital Corporation of America and the Quorum Health Group. He was approached and asked to participate in unethical practices of reporting false expenses to the government, and he refused. Subsequently, he was fired from his job. I believe that James's resolve to act ethically can go back to his youth, and that he had predetermined himself that he would act ethically. Also, in the book by Trevino and Nelson, Managing Business Ethics, they outline 7 steps in blowing the whistle. I'm going to discuss these 7 steps as I talk about the experience of James Alderson. The predetermination to act ethically can go back to James's youth. As a boy skiing, he was with some other 10-year-olds that were skiing, and they were doing well and getting through the course and making it through the gates while James was struggling. But he never quit. He continued to go back and make sure he finished his courses and got through the gates, because he knew the importance of finishing and not quitting. Also, in college, when he was working for Alderson, he recalled a time when he witnessed an audit partner sign off on an audit, and it impressed him so much that he decided that anytime he signed off on anything on an accountant, he would make sure that it was accurate, and that he would do it honestly and realize the trust and responsibility that was being placed within him. These are the 7 steps mentioned by Trevino and Nelson in their book. James's experience is a little bit different, and it's not so typical. He wasn't able to follow these 7 steps in exact order. However, in my discussion, I'm going to talk about these 7 steps in order and discuss the relevant steps that James took out of these 7. Since he was fired so quickly, he didn't have the opportunity to approach his manager first, his immediate manager. However, I believe that had he felt the situation hadn't been resolved and he was still with the company, that he would have approached his immediate manager to let them know of the situation. His family was involved. The second step of discussing it with his family, his wife was there when he went and filed the lawsuits. His son and his daughter were there to pick him up from the airport after he was fired, and his son bought him a pen to help remind him of that first audit that he saw that partner sign off on at Alderson. The family is very important because you need that support during the stressful times, and they need to be aware of what might potentially happen when you blow the whistle. In the third step of taking it to the next level, again, he wasn't within the company, so he didn't take it to the next level within the company. However, when he was dissatisfied with government lawyers, he went and hired his own private lawyer to help move the whistleblowing process along even quicker. The fourth step of contacting company's ethics officer applies here because Trevino and Nelson talk about during this step that it's important to find out if your state has laws that protect whistleblowers. And James was informed by a friend that his state did have these laws. I think he had the resolve to act ethically before he knew this, but certainly this helped strengthen his resolve to go ahead and move forward knowing that he was protected. On the fifth step of considering going outside your chain of command, again, he didn't have to do this because he was outside of the company, so he didn't have to worry about going around his manager without them knowing. The sixth step of going outside the company, he did follow this step when he went and filed the lawsuits. He filed the lawsuit because of the way he was fired. He felt he was fired because he refused to act unethically. And he also filed a lawsuit because he knew the company was practicing unethical practices of reporting expenses to the government that were false. Interestingly enough, the 7th step of leaving the company, described by Trevino and Nelson, was the first step taken by James. The reason being is because it happened involuntarily. He was fired, and that is the way he left the company. I believe that if he was still with the company, that had he taken all these steps and all levels of management resisted his claims of unethical behavior, that he would have taken this step voluntarily and that he would have left the company. In conclusion, I want to reiterate the point that it is important for us to predetermine that we will act ethically, that we will we never know when the situation will arise, so we want to make sure that we have the resolve to act ethically. And also these 7 steps outlined by Trevino and Nelson are applicable to any of us when faced with a situation to blow the whistle.